What's up, you guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today, we're going to be going over our full set review of Avengers 60th Anniversary. I love this set. I'm a huge Avengers fan, so without further ado, let's dive right into the comments. So starting us off here, number one in the set, we've got a new Black Panther, and, pretty average sculpt there, nothing too crazy. But Black Panther is awesome. This one's not too bad. I mean, he is just a common, so he's not going to be anything super amazing. But you got Leap, Climb, and Stealth traded. And then you got Super Senses and Willpower. And when Black Panther uses Willpower and succeeds, you may also remove an action token from a friendly character with a shared keyword within 4 squares. So kind of like Leadership, but without giving, the +1 action total. But, not bad. Willpower, he could take a token off himself and a friendly character, so that's really good. Leap, Climb, and Stealth is a nice trait to have. Helps him get around and stay protected. You got Charge, Blades, Outwit. For only 60 points, pretty, I want to say basic for what you want to see in a Black Panther. But, for only 60 points, it's not too bad. You got the Avengers team ability up there, so that new Avengers TA gives you the +1 attack. Where you choose a team ability at the beginning of the game, and everybody with Avengers gets +1 attack when attacking them. So that's new now with this set. We get that. So that is something to consider. He could have a 12 attack on the right targets, which is pretty deadly with the Outwit and the Blades there. But yeah, and then for 35 points, you got Sidestep, Precision Strike, and Close Combat Expert. So he could still be hitting 11 for 3, potentially 12 for 3 on the right targets. And again, the Leap, Climb, and Stealth comes in handy there as well. And you got that Willpower and Super Sense combo that can take a token off friendly characters. So really cool. I do like him a lot. I will say that I don't like him quite as much as the common Black Panther we just got in Avengers Forever a little while ago, because that one was just ridiculously amazing for 25 points. But I'd say this one is a very close second as far as common Black Panthers go. So up next here, we've got Bowman, number 2 in the set. This is, of course, the Hydra version of Hawkeye. So we've got the whole little, evil Avengers Hydra team here, that the Hydra 4, that are all just Hydra versions of Avengers. So they basically all have the same trait that when a friendly character with the Hydra team ability is KO'd, modify Bowman's damage +1 until the end of your next turn. So that's pretty good. There's some generic Hydra people in here too, and we also got a bunch of generic Hydra guys in the last Avenger set. So you got a bunch of cheap Hydra dudes running around, and whenever one of them is KO'd, all of your Hydra 4 could get +1 damage for your turn. So you could potentially get some pretty big damage there. He does have some improved targeting for characters, which is great. You got that 6 range, double target, running shot, penetrating blast, 11 for 3, 17 toughness. Nothing too crazy for 40 points. He, of course, does have the Hydra team ability, which is going to give you that, basically police team ability, where if an adjacent friendly character is making a range attack, and this character also has line of fire to them, they get -1 defense. Same thing as police team ability, so that's pretty nice for him. He's going to be making a lot of range attacks, so if you have some Hydra guys, it's going to be really easy for him to hit with that penetrating blast. So that's nice. And he could potentially be dealing 4+ damage if something was KO'd. So, for only 40 points, he's not bad. You're really going to want to just play him on a Hydra team, or at least on a team with some other cheap Hydra guys. All in all, I would say this guy isn't too amazing on his own, but on the right team, he could put in some work for sure. But up next, we've got Monica Chang. So we've got some S.H.I.E.L.D. people to, go with our Hydra people. Of course, you can't have one without the other in a set, I feel like. So this one, she's got S.H.I.E.L.D. team ability, of course. A trait that says, when establishing theme teams, you may choose a friendly character with the Robot keyword to gain the S.H.I.E.L.D. keyword this game, and the chosen character has the S.H.I.E.L.D. team ability. I'd say for 25 points, that alone could be worth it. You're building out a S.H.I.E.L.D. team, you want to cheat that a little bit and squeeze on some kind of cool robot character or something. I mean, heck, you could actually just play something crazy like the Legacy Ultron with some S.H.I.E.L.D. people on a S.H.I.E.L.D. theme team or something like that. Get him up to 13 range would be nuts. But Anyway, there's some other cool stuff you could do with that, you know, put like a vision on a shield team or something. But anyway, then she has a special damage power here that says when a friendly character with the shield keyword attacks one or more characters Monica Chang hit this turn, modify their attack by +1. So if she attacks and hits something, then whenever a friendly character with shield keyword attacks them, they get +1 attack. Which is fine, although she only has a 10 attack herself for 2 damage. So I don't really feel like she should be, you know, using up too many actions trying to make attacks in the first place. I kind of feel like she's really just best there to bring a robot character onto a shield team and, you know, just another cheap shield TA character. I do kind of wish she just had like Perplex or something there, or something else in that damage power to make it more useful, or if she at least had like an 11 attack so there was, you know, decent odds of her actually hitting something. But for the most part, I feel like you're better off just using her to take a power action for the shield team ability to give somebody more damage rather than trying to hit and just to get them more attack. But if they do have somebody with slightly lower defense that maybe it gets higher as they go, I could see hitting them with her first, and, you know, then your whole team can be easier to hit them later. I don't know. For 25 points, she's cool for the robot thing, but otherwise, she's kind of whatever. And up next, we've got a Hydra Agent. Like I was just talking about with Bowman, we've got some generic Hydra dudes here in this set. So he is coming in at a whopping 15 points. So you can definitely spare throwing a couple of these guys on your starting team, just to kind of have them run out there and get KO'd to up the damage of your Hydra 4. And that's also because it has this trait here that when Hydra Agent is KO'd, after resolutions you may heal 1 click on up to 2 friendly characters that have the Hydra team ability. So that is nice. You know, as you're out fighting and stuff, maybe your team gets energy explosioned or pulse waved or something, everybody takes a damage or 2. And then when these guys get KO'd, they can heal up some people. And then your Hydra 4 guys get +1 damage for the turn. So that's pretty cool. They can get some retaliation that way. And only 15 points. They got running shot, 10 attack, 2 damage, 16 energy shield. I know I was kind of complaining about those same stats on Monica Chang, but considering this guy's 10 points less and actually has a running shot to go with it and 1 more range. Monica only had 3 range. He at least has 4. So I definitely think these guys are more worth the 15 points. So yeah, for 15 points, I think it's definitely worth throwing a couple of these guys on a Hydra team or something. And they don't really have a whole lot of use otherwise. If they had some enhancement or something, that would be great. But a cheap Hydra team ability is going to be good in sealed. So, you know, if you're playing sealed, these guys are going to be useful for that and, you know, just another cheap running shot character. But outside of sealed and actual Hydra teams, I don't think there's really much reason to play them. But they are really cool for what they do. All right, up next, we've got the Winter Soldier. And, of course, you got Bucky there. I think this is actually carried over. I think that's the same sculpt from the Avengers Forever. I think we got a Bucky and a Winter Soldier that look just like this one. But anyway, this one has the team player, team ability, so he's a wild card. He's got a trait here. If Winter Soldier is adjacent to a friendly character named Captain America, he can use energy shield deflection, or if he's adjacent to a friendly character named Falcon, he can use combat reflexes. So that's great. Of course, in this set, there's a lot of Captain Americas and at least 1 Falcon, so just within this set, he's got some people to play around with and get some bonuses. And of course, we've got some great Captain Americas and Falcons in recent sets as well. So that's just a nice bonus if he's adjacent to one of them. But for 50 points, you know, you got 6 movement, running shot, 5 range, 11 attack, 17 toughness, and 3 damage with range combat expert. So he's shooting 12 for 4, which isn't too bad. Late dial, you get some sidestep, precision strike, and close combat expert, which again isn't too bad. Team player, team ability could come in handy. You could pick Avengers, potentially get yourself up to a 13 attack. Maybe you pick Avengers Initiative so he can shoot through hindering, stuff like that. So there's some uses for that. But again, I kind of see this being more of a figure you're going to want to use for sealed. He's a nice little cheap range attacker for sealed games. I don't really see playing him much outside of that myself. I feel like we've gotten much better Winter Soldiers and Bucky's recently. Like in the Disney Plus set, I really like that Winter Soldier, the like common or uncommon one or whatever he was. for about the same point value too. And it's not saying this one's bad, especially if he is next to both Captain America and Falcon. He's going to have a 19 defense no matter what with the toughness, which is pretty great. And if one of them happens to have some enhancement or perplex or something, he could definitely up his stats and be a great range attacker as well, or shield team ability even would be good. So I think you really just got to play him with the right team, the right combo of figures, and you could definitely make him work if you wanted to. Might still be okay for like a pulp game also. But anyway, I would just say this is more of a fun Winter Soldier for thematic teams, teaming up with characters he actually teams up with, rather than like a really competitive one. And speaking of Captain America's up next, we of course have Captain America. Now this one isn't quite the real deal. This is actually just a life model decoy of Captain America. However, I believe, again, this is the same sculpt carried over from Avengers Forever, which is fine. We get a new Captain America sculpt later on in the rares. But anyway, this one, like I said, life model decoy Captain America. I think that actually says that, yeah, Steve Rogers LMD there. So he's just a 30-point robot, shield robot soldier. Be cool if he also had Avengers still, but regardless, he's got the shield team ability, and for his special defense power there, he's got defend, energy, shield deflection, and toughness, which is not bad. I actually did play this guy in sealed, and he was pretty great for only 30 points. You know, you got charge, 11 attack, 3 damage, and you got that defend, ESD, and toughness combo. Makes him pretty hard to hit. And the defend and shield team ability, you know, he's given some boosts to your team as well for such a low 30-point cost. So I definitely see this guy having some value, a lot of value in sealed for me. And again, I think pulp teams could make some use of him as well on like the right kind of team. I could even see him doing well at like a casual locals game, you know, on like the cool like shield theme team or robot theme team even. In fact, I did think about putting him on a robot team with like Legacy Ultron and the rare Ultron from this set. You got 30 points left over. He's not bad for the shield team ability and the defend. So there's options for that too. You know, he actually teams up pretty well with Ultron, which is kind of funny. So I will say for this Captain America, for the ranged game, he is very good. You know, in the early game, he's got that ESD, makes him harder to hit, and the shield team ability makes it easier for your guys to, you know, have the range they need or do more damage. So he's really good at range. And then as the fight gets closer, he's got charge, 11 attack, 3 damage. So he's not afraid to just charge right in there and start doing some damage. And the defend is going to help, you know, all that time as well. So I really think he's great as just a common. So I really do like this LMD Captain America. But up next we have Black Widow here. And she is actually pretty cool. She does some really fun stuff. I like her sculpt a lot. Really cool action pose on this one. I feel like the last few have been not quite as cool looking. But she's got the new Avengers team ability there for the +1 attack. And then her trait here says, for all characters with this trait, when an opposing character within range and line of fire uses Perplex or Outwit, after resolutions, you may roll a d6. On a 4 through 6, deal that opposing character 1 damage. So kind of like that super annoying, super rare Felix Faust that, you know, has a chance of just not letting them use those powers altogether. But for him, he has to roll a 6, I believe. She has like a 50% chance of dealing them 1 damage whenever they would use Perplex or Outwit. So that's pretty cool. It doesn't trigger on a prob though, so that does kind of suck. But Perplex and Outwit are both really good still. She does just need range and line of fire to them, which is 4, which is a lot smaller than, say, that Felix Faust's range is of 8. But regardless, you know, getting that same kind of similar effect for a common is great. She's got stealth, 11 attack, incap, 18 combat reflexes, 3 damage, outwit. So I do love the stealth combat reflexes and outwit combo. 50 points, you know, it's a bit much. If she takes a hit, she gets charged, so she can charge in there and start exploit weakness attacking people. Full range, double target, though, she could be incapping or just shooting for 3 damage. Potentially 12 attack with the Avengers team ability. I would say, yeah, on like a pulp team or something, or again in sealed, she'd be great. Specifically for that effect where she could deal damage. As, you know, it'd be a deterrent. They maybe wouldn't want to use their perplexes and outwits. or if they just kind of forget, then, you know, she can punish them for it. So do keep that in mind. I think she'd be pretty good for that power alone. I do kind of wish she had a special up front that maybe gave her like stealth and sidestep or stealth and charge or something, so she had a little bit more going on top dial. But regardless, like I said, that one trait is really powerful, I think, so for that reason, I do like her a lot. All right, up next we've got AntMan, and you know, pretty casual sculpt on this guy. He's kind of just standing there, hands on his hips, superhero pose, you know, the classic. But one thing I want to point out about this guy, first of all, is he does have the Stark Industries keyword, which is pretty interesting. I mean, he has a lot of other stuff: Avengers, Fantastic Four, Guardians of the Galaxy, Animal Detective. Detective is a great keyword. And so is Stark Industries, especially when we get to the rares. We'll talk about more on that. But there's the new rare War Machine that can be brought in whenever somebody with Stark Industries keyword takes damage. So it's kind of good to know that he has Stark Industries, because I would not have thought that he would have. But I was looking them all up, and I was like, oh, wow, he actually has it. That's crazy. So anyway, that's just something nice to know. But he has this cool trait that says friendly characters with tiny size have flight, which is very useful, of course. And then you've got Empower, free, choose one adjacent friendly character that shares a keyword with AntMan. The chosen character has tiny size until your next turn. So again, that is very useful. Tiny size lets you be carried by anybody bigger than you. It gives you +1 defense against ranged attacks. And of course, he's going to give everybody with tiny size flight. So he's basically giving them tiny size and flight, which is nuts. For only 45 points, he's got a pretty beefy dial there, 7 clicks long, with full of stealth and a lot of super senses and combat reflexes there. So this guy makes a really good, like, tie-up annoying piece. The Avengers team ability is going to be pretty good on him. He's really going to need that +1 attack buff. But he also has some close combat expert there in the middle, so he can still be doing some good damage and probably hitting fairly consistently. He could at least have an 11 attack for most of his dial there with the Avengers team ability, you know, if he's attacking the right person. So not too bad. 45 points, you know, long dial, like I said. I like him a lot just for giving people tiny size and flight and everything. There's some really cool combos you can do with that. Like I said, the Stark Industries keyword is great. So if he does take a hit, you can bring out War Machine. And yeah, just long dial length, really annoying to get through there for only 45 points. So he's pretty great. Up next, of course, we've got Stinger, which is Cassie Lang, Scott Lang's daughter, in her purple suit. And so that's really cool. We just got to, you know, of course, see her in Quantumania in the MCU. And it's cool to get this version of her in Heroclix, because we haven't had it yet. We just had, like, Cassie Lang, a Stature, but not a Stinger. So it's really cool to get her now. And she also has a trait similar to AntMan's. Of course, it's called AntMan's Partner. Energy Shield Deflection. Friendly characters with tiny size can use Energy Shield Deflection, which is pretty nuts, because that just means they get a +3 from range attacks just for being tiny and getting ESD. It's going to be super hard to hit them. And that means her as well. So she's got Charge, Flight, Precision Strike, Close Combat Expert. So that's 11 for 3, potentially 12 for 3 with the Avengers TA. Super senses, and of course you got ESD plus tiny size. Makes her incredibly hard to hit from range, and I'm dropping her card here, but yeah, there you got the Avengers TA, and that's pretty much all she does. Nothing too crazy, but she makes a great combo with AntMan, of course, giving all of your tiny size characters ESD and flight, and he can make anybody tiny size, so that alone is a great combo there. So if I'm going to play her, I'd probably end up playing her with her father, AntMan, of course. However, there's also a Legacy AntMan in this same set that we'll talk about later that also has the ability to give people tiny size. So that's another character I'd like to play her with. And of course, you know, all the other Wasps and everything else. So just a whole team of tiny characters would be great with AntMan and her, especially her for that ESD. So on the right team, I like her a lot. Otherwise, she doesn't do a whole lot. But, you know, you got to play her to the best combos that you can. So, like I said, on the right team, she's going to be pretty cool. All right, moving on next, we've got Iron Man. And, of course, I love Iron Man. This one, however, I kind of wish was a little bit better. He looks cool. I do like the sculpt on this one. And he does have the Symbiote keyword and the Extreme Biote trait. So he's got plasticity and shape change. And I do like his other trait, Pilot on Avengers, Precision Strike, and friendly characters that are adjacent or have the Avengers keyword can use Precision Strike. That's great. It's just not great, the dial, in my opinion. His dial isn't that great. 60 points, sidestep, TK, barrier, and leadership. So there's nothing wrong with that part. If, you just need a support character. Sidestep and flight is great to position people. TK is great to position people. Leadership, of course, is always useful for removing tokens and getting more actions. And barrier can, of course, come into play sometimes. So that's all great. He's got plasticity and shape change, so he does have a rollout. He can, kind of clog people up if he needs to, or it's easier for him to break away and get away if he needs to. And Precision Strike is good, so he can always be dealing damage, especially with the Avengers TA, potentially giving him that +1 attack as well. So he's a great support figure, I think. 60 points is a little bit much, I feel like, but you are giving your whole team Precision Strike, which is a very good power. So again, it's kind of the thing, if you play him on an Avengers team, he's going to be good because he's giving everybody the Precision Strike power, and he's going to be a good little supporting figure. He just doesn't feel like Iron Man to me. I'm just kind of disappointed, I guess, with the dial, and especially the symbiote thing, like, feels kind of tacked on to this one to me. I don't know, if his dial was reversed, kind of, and he started with like the running shot, invul, and range combat expert, maybe some penetrating blast or energy explosion, I think I would like it more that way. Or it'd be really cool, yeah, I would like it a lot more if it was reversed, and if it had another like half starting line there, so you could get the purely support dial for like 30 or 40 points or something and still be giving everybody the Precision Strike. That would have been amazing. And I would have, this guy could have been bumped up to uncommon, rare, super rare, even almost, not quite, but that would have been fine by me. I would have loved to have seen him do all that and be like a rare figure or something, but regardless, he's okay. You really just got to play him on an Avengers team to give everybody that Precision Strike, like I said. And he's a good support figure. I just wish he was less points or had some type of other option, like I said. So it's like, I like him a lot, but at the same time, I feel like he could be better. So yeah, there you go. He's all right. All right, up next here is probably one of my favorite commons of the set, actually. This common Captain Marvel. This one's really cool just for the fact that she's like her own shifting focus figure. So it's nice that you don't have to hunt down her. I mean, they could have made her and an uncommon one to shift between, but you got both dials right here, and she's got the trait free, turn Captain Marvel to the same click number of a different color, so you just swap to different clicks there. Avengers TA for that potential +1, and Power Cosmic or Cosmic Energies TA. So she's going to have willpower to roll for every turn, and she's going to be protected or safeguard from outwit. So that's great. So she can't be outwitted at all, and that willpower helps keep her going. And you've got 2 whole dials to switch between for only 70 points. I mean, 70's not super cheap these days, but you got Running Shot, Penetrating Blast, Range Combat Expert, and Invulnerability. Or you've got Charge, Super Strength, Impervious, and Close Combat Expert. So either way, she is dealing at least 4 damage on her own. Either a Penetrating Blast from range or up close, and you could potentially pick up a heavy object, or I guess not a heavy object, terrain, like a big chunk of terrain to deal like +2 damage. Dealing 6 on her own would be pretty nuts. So yeah, that's that pretty much. She'd have 11 attack for the range attacks, or 12 attack up close. Potentially another +1 from the Avengers TA. So she's a really great attacker, and the different options there is amazing. It always comes in handy for if you need a range attacker or a close attacker. I think she's a really great common figure. Again, one of those ones you could definitely get a lot of use out of in sealed and potentially pulp games as well. And I will say, I think she's one of my new favorite Captain Marvels. I think she could crack my top 5 Captain Marvel list potentially. So yeah, I like her a lot. And up next we've got a SpiderMan Robot, and I'm kind of confused why we got a SpiderMan Robot with a better sculpt than a Spider-Man that we got last set. I like the web shooting action there, very cool. But yeah, this SpiderMan Robot here has the Council of Kang's Future Past Robot keywords, 40 points. So he's just got leap, climb, incapacitate, toughness, and probability control, which is pretty nice for, you know, your robot teams. Power, choose another friendly character within 8 squares that shares a keyword with SpiderMan Robot and place them adjacent to SpiderMan Robot. If the chosen character has the Council of Chang's keyword, remove an action token from them. So that's pretty good. I actually like this power a lot, just because, you know, you can kind of run, if you have a couple of these guys, you can run them all over the place, and they can just take turns taking power actions, popping somebody next to them. That could be a Council of Chang, or it could be Future Past or Robot. So it could even be Spider-Man Family if you, you know, do some keyword shenanigans with like Robot or something. But yeah, you just pop people over there, and that's just placing them. As long as they're within 8 squares and share a keyword, you don't need line of fire. You just place them adjacent to Spider-Man Robot. Of course, that's not carrying or anything, so they can take an action afterwards. So it's really cool to help you kind of position your team where you need to be, if you make good use of it, at least. And he does actually have Spider-Man team ability as well, so he's got super senses on a 6 to go with that toughness. But that prob really is going to come in handy after you've taken the power action to put somebody adjacent, because then they can make an attack and you've got a probber already sitting right there next to them. So I do actually like these guys. On the right kind of team, I think you could pull some cool shenanigans, especially if you've got more than one, like maybe 2 or 3 of them. But I wouldn't want to pay that many points just for that. But, you know, the right kind of strategy, you know, maybe you run one over this corner, one over this corner. You know, you've got some people with barrier to like barrier around them or something, and your opponent doesn't know which one to go for. Maybe they go for this one over here. Okay, I'm going to pop him over here and shoot you this way, like my big Chang or something. So I don't know. There's some cool shenanigans you can pull with that. I like them a lot, but it would be nicer if they were a little cheaper so you could fit more on a team. All right, but up next is really the best generic of the set, maybe the best robot so far. You know, we saw LMD Cap, we got Robot Spider-Man, but now we got the generic Ultron Drone. Of course, these guys are going to be pretty nuts if you have some Ultrons to actually use with them, especially, or to bring them into the game from outside the game. So first of all, they've got the Masters of Evil team ability that when an adjacent friendly character makes a close attack, you can modify the target's defense 1 if the target is also adjacent to this character. So if you swarm them with Ultrons, you can get a lot of like -3 defenses, making it really easy to hit. But his trait also lets him start the game on any starting line, which is nice, because that means you could kind of just pay to put one on your team and start on any start line you want and swap between games kind of thing if you think one would be better than another at any given moment. But really it's there so that whenever they're brought into the game from the other Ultrons generating them, you can pick whichever one you need that's best in the moment. And there's 3 really good options here. You got Charge with Toughness and Close Combat Expert, so they're hitting 11 for 3. Or you got Plasticity with Invulnerability and some Empower, which is really going to help your other characters hit harder, especially with the team ability. It's going to come in handy. And then on the last one here, you've got Mind Control and Precision Strike and Impervious. So that Mind Control is going to be pretty crazy, especially because Legacy Ultron gains powers from all the other Ultron characters. So, if he could take Mind Control from this guy, you got 10 range triple target Mind Control, and that is pretty nuts. So I really like all the point values for this one, or I should say all the different starting lines for this one. He's only 30 points no matter what. But yeah, these guys are really, really good to be brought into the game, and it's not even too bad to just start the game with 1 or 2 of them if you need to. Either way, Ultron teams are looking super fun right now. And of course, you got to get a lot of these guys. So the more the merrier. These guys are great. One of my favorite commons of the set. Up next, we've got Jessica Jones here. Really cool to see her. I hope we get to see her in the MCU again. Be nice if she was in like the Daredevil show or something. I guess we'll know one day, but not as of me recording this. But regardless, she's got Defender's team ability. Trait here that says, when establishing theme teams, choose a friendly character. The chosen character gains the detective keyword. So that is super good, just handing out the detective keyword. It's really great nowadays because We've got, you know, the mystery cards from the Batman team-up set, and there was even one in the Spider-Man set. And we're going to be getting another one in an upcoming OP kit that's like just releasing any day now, or just already released the Moon Knight one. But anyway, regardless, we've got a lot of mystery cards that just came out, probably some more coming out in the future. And all of those key off of the detective keyword, as well as a few other keywords, but they all work with detective. Detective is a really strong keyword right now, so being able to cheat that onto a team is really, really good. But then her next trait gives you leap, climb, and close combat expert, so she can at least be doing some good damage there. Stealth, 10 attack, 2 damage, 17 toughness. And, you know, you got that leap, climb, and close combat expert, which helps out. But then her damage power here gives her perplex, and when she uses it to target an opposing character, after resolutions, roll a d6. On a 5 or 6, remove an action token from her or an adjacent friendly character with the detective keyword. So, you know, that's not too bad. You got a little perplex there, and potentially can remove an action token from her or another friendly detective if you roll high enough. For 40 points, I would say she is pretty good, mainly for that keyword cheating effect. Although that being said, you really got to use that wisely. I think 40 points for that feels like a little bit too much. Again, I feel like if she was 20 or 30 points, you know, because you got to factor in her points plus whoever you're trying to bring onto the detective team. So you're already using up like a third of your points right there, and then whatever you're working with for your actual detective team. There is another character actually in the uncommons that does something very similar to her, who I think is a little bit better, just does it a little bit better. Her dial's a little bit better. I think she's slightly cheaper points too. So we'll get to that one in the next video. But if you don't have that one, then she is a great use for, you know, granting that detective keyword as well. Or you could use both of them together and get 2 detectives and do even more shenanigans that way. I don't know, but she's pretty good. All right, up next, we've got the Vision. I like his sculpt a lot of detail in there, very cool looking. Anyway, so we'll take a look at his dial here. Of course, he's got the Avengers team ability, only Avengers and robot keywords, but this cool through the wall trait gives him phase teleport, and when Vision makes a close attack, characters within 1 square are considered adjacent regardless of terrain, which really just means he can actually punch you through a wall, which is awesome. So if you play him on the right map with a ton of walls, that could be a really fun way to, you know, be able to punch people, and they can't really do anything about it. They can't see you to prob you. They can't punch you back. They have to like punch the wall down or go around somewhere. So that could be a really neat trick on the right map. Then on his defense power, you got Invincible and Super Senses. So he starts with Charge, Penetrating Blast, and Close Combat Expert for 60 points. Not too bad. You know, you could run up there, 11 attack for 4 damage, potentially 12 attack with the Avengers team ability, or just shooting, 11 for 3 penetrating on the right targets. You get some, you know, regen and outwit there, and some sidestep. He really has some pretty low movement, but I haven't really commented on that on a lot of other characters that also had pretty low movement. Yeah, we're really starting to see the low movement nowadays. You know, the Spider-Man set was pretty lower movements, and I feel like it's even lower for this one because, again, you know, the maps are changing and getting smaller, so we're going to have to get used to seeing a lot of 6 and 4 movements on people, but at least 4 with sidestep isn't too bad. It's just, it is going to be hard for, if you're playing like some games, you know, people are going to be able to get away from you a lot easier. He only has a 4 range. So I'd say all in all, you know, Invincible Super Senses is a great defense. He can potentially hit for 4 or 3 penetrating, and he can do it through a wall, which is very interesting. Got some built-in healing. You know, he's not too bad for 60 points. I've seen better, but I did try him out in Sealed, and he did pretty well for me, so I can't really see anything too bad about him. He's pretty good for Sealed, and could be fun for, you know, more, like I said, pulp and like local kind of fun events. All right, and last but not least for the commons, we have Bats, who is a little ghost dog who's kind of like a helper for Doctor Strange. This guy is actually pretty nuts, I think. One of my favorite commons of the set. Could definitely see a little bit of tournament play. He's got Mystic's team ability, of course. That is super good to start out with. That's always an annoying team ability. Unique modifier, adjacent friendly characters that share a keyword with Bats modify attack +1. So that's great, considering he is tiny size, so you can just carry him around for an automatic +1 attack. He's got traded super senses, which is going to come in handy for sure, and he's got enhancement. So for only 30 points, you can just carry around this little ghost doggy and enhance your damage up and give you +1 attack. And, you know, he's got super senses, 18 with willpower, and tiny size. It's going to be hard to hit, kind of, for 30 points. And if they do, then you've got the Mystics, so that's not too bad. 10 movement phase teleport is actually really good too. So if he needs to, he can just kind of run back out of the way somewhere. And he can at least be attacking with end cap to try to do a little something if he has to. So yeah, I like him a lot. Just like I said, carrying him around with a good, like, Hawkeye or something, like Iron Man maybe, some type of good range attacker that just gets that +1 attack, and that the enhancement can up their damage. I mean, heck, Doctor Strange, of course, he's going to be useful for Doctor Strange for that as well. +1 attack and damage while you're making your range attacks. And yeah, it's kind of nice because if your opponent does go out of their way to hit him, they're at least going to take a Mystic's damage back. So I like him a lot. So yeah, that's it for all of our commons. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you smash the like button. It does help me out a lot. Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. And of course, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on all of these figures, all the comments, because I'd love to talk about it with you guys down there in the comments. But that's going to do it for this one. If you guys would like to help support the channel even more, don't forget to check the links in the description for our Patreon, or hit that join membership button down below. So for as little as $1 a month, you can be entered into our monthly giveaways on Patreon and in the YouTube membership. So make sure to check that out if that interests you. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks again so much for watching. Till next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.